Can I get a thumbs up in the chat? So again, I don't think you guys could hear me until now. Can I get a thumbs up in the chat if you guys can hear me? I've been talking to myself. Sorry about that, guys. Technical issue. Hello, Beth and John and Visionary. I saw that Square Peg was in the chat, so if you guys are familiar with Square Peg Divergent, she's going to be joining me on the live tonight, so we're going to have a collab. If you guys have been waiting, it's been quite a while since me and Square Peg have come on the stream together, but tonight is the night. So first of all, guys, before Square Peg jumps on here, I just want to, this is going to be a bit of a different live stream than usual because I didn't have a lot of time, to be honest, to go through. And but everyone knows the story, right? Everyone knows and has heard, and everyone's probably watched the other Gematria decoders in the community, whether it's Joseph, whether it's Zach, whether it's, you know, everyone else in the community's probably covered this stuff. Because I'm a little late, guys. I've been a bit busy here in Albania and just haven't had the energy or the time to do a lot of decoding. So, but hello, Tammy and Richard and Future. Hello. So anyways, guys, I'm going to go over to my Twitter and I'm going to go through some of the posts I've made on my Twitter account. Let me make this screen a bit bigger so you guys can see. So the first thing is, guys, I'm sure you all know and you've heard that the Hamas attacked Israel on Putin's birthday. And, you know, I'm going to show you a post I made on Twitter of how I was talking about this day. So that actually, that's the first thing I'm going to show you guys. So this is a screenshot I took of me 12 days ago. There was a comment in my community section 12 days ago from Geo6740. And he asked, you know, I don't remember what he was exactly talking about, but I had brought up that I was really watching October 7th for some sort of shooting or violence. And as a matter of fact, I really wish I would have done a video on this day, but I just never had a chance to do a video. So I just wanted to show you guys that I was really pegged, as Square Peg sometimes says, I really pegged this October 7th because, you know, it was just all the 107s. It was all the 107s that I just knew that something had to happen on this day. Now, I had no idea it was going to be an all-out war on Israel. I thought it might be like a shooting or something violent, but so let's go over this, guys. Why 10/7? Well, first of all, it's Putin's birthday, right? Putin's born on 10/7, and let's go over to the Gematrianator calculator. And you're going to see that it was what was interesting about this day, right, was that Putin invaded Ukraine on 2/24, okay? And from the very first day of the Ukraine invasion to the very late evening hours into the invasion on his birthday, it was 1 year and 224 days. 224 days after his invasion of, so on Putin's birthday, the day before was 224 days after the anniversary of his invasion on 2/24, okay? And this 224 number, well, I am going to show you the one thing I do know about this number. So the Society of Jesus equals 224, right? And the Ukraine invasion was on 224. As a matter of fact, Russia, Ukraine war equals 224. So you have the Jesuit order, 224, or sorry, the Society of Jesus, 224, Russia-Ukraine war, 224. And of course, the invasion of the start of the Russia-Ukraine war was on 224. I mean, what are the chances of that, guys? The Russia-Ukraine war starts 224 and it equals 224. And then a year and 224 days after, you have this invasion, of Israel, right? And don't forget, there's a lot of Jews in Ukraine. So, I mean, Ukraine has a lot of Jews, right? And so Russia invaded Ukraine, which has a lot of Jews, 224. And then 224 days later, after the anniversary, or one day before, and then Putin's birthday. You see how it lines up perfectly with Putin and Russia? Everything yesterday was about Russia and the original invasion, and then this secondary invasion, right? So this is leading us even more into a state of chaos, right? Much love, Joseph. I see Joseph Aquaviva's in the chat. Much love to you. Nice to see you, brother. And Square Peg, just give me a few more minutes and I'll let you jump on, okay? And Joseph, if you want to jump on as well, you can. So yeah, so Putin turned 71. Okay, so let me just show you again this. So the Russia-Ukraine war equals 224. Putin invaded on 224, right? The Society of Jesus equals 224 and 71. Now, the invasion of Israel was on Putin's 71st birthday. So Israel is attacked on Putin's 71st birthday, essentially 224 days after the anniversary of his invasion on 224. And you guys will remember that this 235 number was coming up a lot earlier this year with the Bray Wyatt and the directed energy weapons. So again, I think this whole thing was obviously scripted around the original invasion of Ukraine, and then now we have our secondary. So what's going to come after this? I don't know, but I'm going to talk about this week being a big week, right? So anyways, I just want to go back. I had made this comment 12 days ago on my YouTube, and I said, I expect something. I said right here, I said, yes, I agree. I'm really watching 10-7. It's a Saturday, which equals 107. A shooting equals 107, and military. Let me just go through all the 107s, okay? Let me just bring up the numbers here real fast. Hold on. So the reason I was looking at this day originally before it even happened was because I saw that the 107, it was perfectly placed. Why was it perfectly placed? Why? Because the day was 107 and it was a Saturday, and Saturday equals 107. Okay. So not only was it the date 107, but it landed on a Saturday, which lines up with the 107 perfectly. And military equals 107. And what do we get? We get a military invasion on 107. Hamas is a militant group, right? And as far as shooting equaling 107, just like military, I mean, what do you have to do in a war? You have to shoot. So again, this is all connected to shootings, military. But what I didn't see and what I didn't see coming, right? We can never get these kind of things completely right. We can never know exactly what's going to happen. But what I said here is what I didn't get completely right was that I didn't have any idea that it would be involving Israel. But I should have known, because do you see this military equals 107 and the date was 107? Well, 107 is the 28th prime number, okay? And this 107 and 28 connection is huge. Why? Because Israel, my computer's slow, guys. Hold on a second. So Israel equals 107, or sorry, Israel equals 28. So Again, 107 is the 28th prime number. Okay. And yeah, and Joseph's saying in the chat, it came 44 days before Biden's birthday. Military 44, Netanyahu 44, Israel 44. Yeah. Perfect addition, Joseph. Thank you. And so anyway, back to the 28. So the 28 and the 107. 107 is the 28th prime number, and Israel equals 28. So they invade Israel on the perfect day that connects to the 28, right? And I just wanted to show everyone this connection that was happening at the same time that this invasion was happening. It was announced at the same time that they were invading that a player who had been going through a contract dispute for the Indianapolis Colts, he signed a $42 million contract extension at the same time this was happening. He wears the number 28, guys. Israel equals 28. So this guy had sat out the first 4 games of the season, and at the very day that they're invading, number 28 gets a contract extension 104 days before his birthday. Jerusalem equals 104, and it's the 104th NFL season. And you will see here that Jonathan Taylor, at the time he got re-signed, he had 104 NFL receptions. Again, Jerusalem, 104. But I want you guys to notice that his last name, Taylor, he wears the number 28. Taylor wears the number 28, and his name, Taylor, equals 28. And at the very same time that Israel is being invaded, Taylor is getting a contract extension. And why do I believe they used the Colts and this Jonathan Taylor? Well, because it says he got a $42 million contract extension. And just look at this. So I want you guys to look at War and Colts. As a matter of fact, look right here at the 3 bottom, guys. So the Colts equal War and Hamas. So the Colts equal Hamas in 2 ciphers, 15 and 30. But just notice that the Colt, Jonathan Taylor, was getting a contract extension of $42 million, like War equals 42, like Hamas equals 42. And again, he gets a $42 million extension at the same time that the war is starting, 42, right? And again, he wears number 28, like Israel. And what colors do the Colts have? They have the blue and the white. What colors does Israel wear? Or what color do they have? They have the blue and the white. So I've been wondering about why this drama was going on with this player all season. And then all of a sudden, on the same day that Israel's being invaded, this guy gets his contract extension. And again, he gets a $42 million, and War equals 42, and the Colts equals Hamas in 2 ciphers. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know it's not really super connected, but it was connected. It was a perfect ritual to go along with the invasion at the very same time, okay? That's what I mean, guys. I try to show you guys that all these things are happening at the same time. Simultaneously, you have these guys, this guy getting his contract at the same time, okay? So anyways, let's go to my Twitter posts, and let me show you a few more Twitter posts that I made. So this is the big one. Let me bring this up. So I want you guys to notice what CNN's headline was right before the 322nd anniversary of Yale Skull and Bones. It says at least 70 dead after Hamas attack on Israel. And Hamas attack on Israel equals 322. And this comes 2 days before the 322nd anniversary of Yale Skull and Bones. And of course, we know, as you guys can see here in this picture, that Yale Skull and Bones is order 322. So what are the chances of that? 322 is Hamas attack on Israel. This was the headline that CNN was using right here. I highlighted it, and that equals 322. And it matches perfectly with Abrahamic religions. And this is what they call the 3 religions that are connected to Abraham in the Bible, right? The Abrahamic religions are Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And what is this war about? It's between the Islam and the Jews, right? So the Abrahamic religions equals 322, and the Hamas attack on Israel equals 322, and it comes just 2 days before the 322 anniversary of Yale. And this also, the big point here, guys, is that this happened on the anniversary of Bush announcing the attacks, the retaliation attacks on Afghanistan. So on October 7, 2001, George W. Bush, the member of Skull and Bones, 322, announces the strikes on Afghanistan. So this was the 22nd year anniversary of that announcement. And then, of course, you have this invasion. And then what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday in Afghanistan, guys? Like, this is how you know it's not a coincidence, because this is improbable. I already talked to you about the 107s yesterday, how yesterday was all about 107. Well, what are the chances that an earthquake hits Afghanistan on 107? Again, let me bring up the 107 so you guys can see how this is not a coincidence. Okay, so on a Saturday, you have a military invasion and you have an earthquake. Okay, and notice 107 is earthquake and military. Okay, and it's Saturday. And the date was 107. This is improbable, absolutely improbable. You cannot deny, especially when you get this news that the earthquake hits right after the military invasion. And where did the earthquake hit? It hit in Afghanistan, which is where George Bush ordered the strikes exactly 22 years to the day before, in Afghanistan. Right, here's the article, guys. Bush announces the opening attacks on October 7, 2001 in Afghanistan. Exactly 22 years later, there's an earthquake. Earthquake equals 107, just like the date. Military, Saturday. Do you see why I thought beforehand that this was going to be a big day? Because I knew, because it was a Saturday. That was the key. Because Saturday equals 107. And because Saturday equals 107 and the date was 107, I knew that this doesn't happen every year, right? 10/7 does not fall on a Saturday every year. So this was the perfect day. This year was the perfect year to perform a huge 107 ritual on 107. Okay? So that is exactly why I said in my comments 12 days before that 107 was on my watch calendar. I just never made a video about it because I just didn't have time. I just didn't think about it. But anyways, so knowing the 322's importance in Skull and Bones, somebody in my comments, I can't remember her name. Oh, and here's the evidence, guys, that Yale Skull and Bones will be 322 tomorrow, 322 years old tomorrow. Sorry, it's not Skull and Bones, guys. It's Yale University will be 322 tomorrow, 322 years old. But I want to give a big shout out to one of the subscribers for pointing out this show on Netflix called Inside Job. And this is one to share with your friends and family, right? Like this one is right in your face. So on this show called Inside Job, it's a show about kind of making fun of conspiracy theories. And one of the scenes in the trailer, you guys can go watch the trailer on YouTube. One of the scenes shows "Welcome to Actual Yale." And if you zoom in on the back, on the banner, you're going to see that it says the 322nd Annual Reptoid Gala. What a joke. I mean, people know that this is the number of Yale Skull and Bones. But what makes this even more interesting is that it says a reptoid. And why do they always compare Yale Skull and Bones to the lizards or the reptiles? That's because the reptiles, the snakes, have the Y tongue. They have the tongue that looks like a Y, and Yale is the Y. So you're comparing them to lizards, to reptilians, right? But just notice that reptoid just happens to be a 2-cipher match to Bonesman. So what are the chances that they called this the Reptoid Gala, and this is all about Skull and Bones, and Bonesman, which is what you call the members of Skull and Bones, is an exact match to Reptoid. And it's a direct match to the name of the show. The name of the show is called Inside Job. Inside Job equals Reptoid and equals Bonesman. Okay. And another little key point about the 87 here. Yesterday was not actually, on the real calendar, yesterday was not actually 10-7. Yesterday was Oct 7 or 8-7. So very interesting that Bonesman also equals 8-7. And yesterday, if you really look at it realistically, yesterday was Oct 8-7, right? But anyways, this is one to show your friends and family how they mock us right to our faces about the 322 and the lizard people, right? And again, I've talked about this in prior posts of why I believe you're always going to see this serpent connected to Skull and Bones, because Yale University is all about the Y tongue, the serpent tongue. And again, guys, just so you guys can see, they call them Bonesmen, and Bonesman is a direct match to Reptoid, right? So the 322nd annual Reptoid Gala. Just laughable, right? So the next thing I'm going to bring up here is the connection to Trump, because Trump, do you know how in the Bible it says that there will be the Antichrist will be put on a pedestal, and he will be there to bring peace, right? And so Donald Trump with the Abraham Accords, let me pull those up for you. So I just talked about the Abrahamic religions and how this is all about the Abrahamic religions. And of course, Donald Trump, on September 15th, the Trump administration was all about bringing peace between Israel and all of these Muslim nations, right? And they signed the Abraham Accords. You see if I can find the date here. Hold on. Yeah, on September 15th, the United States and the Trump administration mediated the Abraham Accords. And if you measure from the date of this mediation on September 15th, 2020, and you go forward to the day of this attack on Israel by Hamas, it's 3 years and 22 days. And what did I just tell you? The Abrahamic religions equals 322. Skull and Bones turns Yale University turns 322 years old. And from Trump's Abraham, and just look at this. This happened on the 107 days left in the year. And then the attack happened on 107. And what does Abraham Accords equal? Oh, it equals 107. What are the chances, guys? Come on. The Abraham Accords are signed on the day leaving 107 days left in the year. And then 303 years and 22 days later on 107, there's an attack. And Trump is the one who's trying to bring peace to those regions, right? And this is biblical. We all know that this is biblical. But I'm just saying that this 107, I posted this on Twitter. I said, Abraham Accords 107. And here's the evidence. Trump, it's just funny, guys. Look, they mentioned here, announcement of the follow-up agreement between Israel and Bahrain on September 11, 2020. On September 15, 2020, the official signing ceremony for the first iteration of the Abraham Accords, hosted by the Trump administration. Okay. So again, perfectly synced up with the attack, because again, Abraham Accords equals 107. Like they got signed on the day leaving 107 days left in the year, right? And then they got the attack on 107. So Okay, next thing. I'm trying to get through this stuff fast here so I can bring on Square Peg. Because stay tuned, guys. Square Peg is going to come on. It seems I lost what I was. My computer is so annoying, guys. Okay, so the last thing I want to point out on my Twitter. Okay. So I want you guys to know that it's very hard to get a match in the Jewish/Latin cipher. Now, this is mostly known as the Jewish cipher. And considering we're talking about an attack on a Jewish country, I think it's quite interesting that is the headline on CNN all day, or most of the day, was Israel at war. Okay. And I just want you guys to notice that Israel at war is a direct match to Donald John Trump. Now, I wrote it here wrong, guys. It's Donald John Trump, but it's still the same. And in Jewish cipher, you get a match. This is not easy to get in the Jewish cipher. I've talked about this cipher before. This cipher is a very legitimate cipher. And in fact, it's very hard. Whenever you get a match in this cipher, it's even more significant because it's very hard to get a match. So again, this also connects to Trump because Israel at war equals Donald John Trump, right? And the Israelites love Trump. Just go look it up. The Israelites love Trump. They already worship him as it is. So don't be surprised that they think Trump is their savior for some sort of time. I think they already do think that, right? Or that's what they tell us, at least. That's what they make it seem to be, right? So anyways, yeah, I think that's it on my Twitter. But the big thing here is, guys, the 322. And we're about ready to enter the 41st week of the year. And Skull and Bones equals 41. Okay, so Skull and Bones, 41. We're about ready to enter the 41st week of the year. And September 11th, the Skull and Bones ritual had 41 date numerology. 41 is the 13th prime. And 13 is all about, well, the death card in tarot is the 13th card. The Ace of Spades, which is also about death, is the 13th card. Yeah, so Skull and Bones, very connected to the 41 and the 13. And again, this 41st week should be interesting. Now, I'm watching the markets tomorrow. People are talking about the oil prices, something happening with the oil prices, because the last time that there was some sort of invasion like this, there was an oil price problem. But yeah, and then we got Friday the 13th, and then we got the eclipse. And did you guys know that the eclipse goes over Corpus Christi? So next Friday, or next Saturday, so exactly one Saturday after the invasion, the eclipse of the annular eclipse starts in the 33rd state, Oregon, right? So it comes over Oregon, the 33rd state, and then it comes all the way through to Texas, and it passes right before it goes into the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico. It passes over Corpus Christi. And the reason this, I believe, is important because the city's name means Corpus Christi, or body of Christ. This is big, guys. This is huge. The eclipse passes over body of Christ right before it hits the water. Do you see this? This is a birthing ritual. This is the birth. I'm telling you guys, this is the birth right here. I mean, we've been having these earthquakes, which I believe are connected to birth pains. So this is big. So birth pain equals, the thing about it is that birth pain, right, is talked about in the Bible in Matthew 24, is it? And Jesus talks about the birth pains. This is the beginning, right? And this eclipse, let's bring up Matthew 24 real fast, because I want you guys to really see the significance of this. So this is one of the real famous chapters. I mean, everyone's heard these things, but this is like what's going on right now, guys. So we're talking about the destruction of the temples, right? And this Israel thing is so connected to that. And but I just want to go to verse 4 right here. Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and that will deceive many." Again, the Israelites think that Trump is the Messiah already. Trump is trying to bring peace to Israel with the Abraham Accords, right? And Trump even made a tweet about this after it. I mean, of course, Trump is in support of Israel, but you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Okay, so there's check one. And then it says, but see that you not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still not. Nation will rise against nation. Okay, so you can kind of check that off the list. And kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes. Okay, so yesterday we had a nation rising against a nation in the Holy Land, and that's a very important nation. And then you have the earthquake in Afghanistan, very close to that. And this is what Jesus calls the birth pains. And when you're talking about a birth pain, a woman giving birth, being in travail, giving birth, you have to have the water break, okay? So the eclipse next Saturday goes over the body of Christ right before it hits the water, okay? So think of it as the body of Christ being birthed into the water, which is the Gulf of Mexico, right? So I'm really just seeing a lot of connections. I'm just really seeing a lot of connections with this Corpus Christi, Texas, and this attack. I don't know. I just watched Texas this week, guys. I mean, we gotta be. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the Cowboys games, and to see what happens this week with Texas. I mean, yeah. So there's a lot more to say here, but I kind of want to get to the next part with Square Peg, and we're gonna have a bit of a talk here. So, all right, let me close my Twitter. Square Peg, are you ready to jump on? Let me know in the chat if you're ready. Or actually, I need to send you the link, don't I? Hold on a second, Square. So I'm getting ready to post the link in the chat for you to join. And we'll see here. Let's see. You guys know it takes my computer like twice as much time as normal people because it just gets overloaded with stuff. Okay, so the link should be in the chat, Square Peg. And then once you come into here, I'll add you. Oh, I already see her. There she is. All right, guys. So again, this is Square Peg Divergent. Let me bring up her Divergent. Okay, so Divergent. Can you hear me, Square? Okay, so
yeah, I'm hearing you twice.
Can you hear me, Square? Yeah, I'm not sure why the.
Yeah, I'm hearing you twice. Because it's picking up your speaker. If you turn your speaker down.
I'm not sure why the.
Yeah, I'm hearing you twice. Because it's picking up your speaker. If you turn your speaker down. But then how would you hear me? I don't know. Because it's picking up your speaker. If you turn your speaker down. But then how would you hear me? I don't know. Woo! Feedback.
Right. I don't know why it's doing that.
I remember that from last time, but you fixed it somehow. I don't remember how.
Right. I don't know why it's doing that.
You're getting feedback. I remember that from last time, but you fixed it somehow.
Okay, sorry guys for all that. That's hurting my ears. Okay, Square Peg, I muted you for now. I'm gonna try to figure this out and hopefully not destroy everyone's eardrums. Do you have headphones on, Square? Can you type that in the chat if you have headphones on, or did you have the stream on in the background? Because there's nothing more I can do here. Let's see. All right. How about now?
I can hear you.
Okay. There's no feedback anymore.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Can you guys hear Square Peg in the chat? Let me know. Because I can hear you fine now. I just want to make sure they can hear you.
Yeah, I will say some more things so that they can determine whether. Okay, sweet. So it was me. I needed to turn my YouTube sound off.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Got it. Sorry about that.
No problem. I was wondering if it was something I needed to do, but I couldn't remember.
Right. So. I couldn't either. I should make a note of it so next time we won't have that problem.
All right. Well, welcome back to the stream. Nice to have you on again.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for the invite.
And yeah, like I said, you put out some awesome information. I did get a chance to watch your stream last night, and
you did or did not?
I did. I got a chance to watch it as I was slaving away here trying to make beans, and that took forever. I was also listening to your stream. So. Oh, right on. Well, yeah, but it's just funny because some beans, I guess, take forever to cook, and I was trying to make them like the dried version, and it was just bugging me. So I was just listening to you while I was doing that. So.
Yeah, and if you look it up, you can find out like which beans, because it's like certain ones, and if they're older, it takes even longer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I used to do that a lot, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be doing it anymore either, honestly. So. Trying to save money here in Albania because it's getting down to my last month here before I can go back to Germany. So I'm kind of like,
that's exciting.
Yeah, and my girlfriend is coming for a few days to see me again while I'm here. But obviously she had to leave because she got sick, and then I got sick.
Is she feeling better now?
Yeah.
Das ist gut.
Yep, das ist gut. So, anyways, like, what's on your mind? What's on your mind today? Is there anything you want to add to what I was saying, or anything that you would that's on your mind in general?
Well, I don't. People have probably already thought of this, but 107 is 107, and that if you take the 0 out, that's that letter of the alphabet. So, have people already figured out that he is that letter of the alphabet person?
Who is it? Who is it again? Sorry.
107. Have you heard of him?
No. Who's that?
I'll write it in the chat. That person. And all you ever see is his feet in his, like when you watch the videos of him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Huh.
I don't know. Like people might have already figured out that 107, like 107, if you drop the 0 out, that's 17, that letter of the alphabet that you're not allowed to say, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's definitely something interesting. Like I said, this day was perfectly scripted with the 107s. That's why I saw beforehand that just the fact that it fell on a Saturday made it huge, because Saturday equals 107. So
yeah, it's very interesting. And I never would have thought to add 224 to like. I forget now exactly what you did, but I was like, that is very cool. Because that's one of those things that you often see people who do Gematria. They will do that after the fact. And you think like, well, that's just that's a random thing. Like, who would have thought to do that in advance to make a prediction for it? Well, you did, and it was. So I was impressed about that.
Yeah, okay, so 224 is my mom's birthday. I remember the day. Oh. I remember the day that they invaded. Like that 224 is like, because I just remember that day because it's my mom's birthday, right? So, and when I saw that Putin invaded, essentially 224 days before his birthday, right? And he did it on 224. And again, so the Society of Jesus equals 224, Russia-Ukraine war 224.
And before his birthday too, not after. Like I might possibly randomly have thought to add it to somebody's birthday, but to subtract it from their birthday, like that's really that's pretty neato keen. I'm impressed.
And you know what was really interesting about this whole thing too was, I like to connect WWE, right? So last night there was a Japanese wrestler who was born on that day, 224, and he was getting the spotlight and he was getting the opportunity to wrestle in a championship match. And of course we know, guys, let me just bring this up. Japan has a very interesting connection with the word war. Let me bring it up. So actually, if you type in war, Japan, and Hamas, you're going to see that they all have a very similar connection. And almost 3 out of the 4 ciphers, actually, Japan actually is a direct match to Hamas. And what are the chances that yesterday, on the day Hamas invades, there's a Japanese wrestler getting the spotlight, and he was born on 224. And Japan is known as the land of the rising sun, and they just had an earthquake just recently too, didn't they?
Yep, they sure did. And it was exactly 5 months to the day after they had one on May 5th, which was a day I predicted, and then I didn't think anything had happened. I just now found out I was right. Something did happen like 5 months ago.
Right, yeah. And so as soon as I saw that this guy, he was, and his name is Shinsuke Nakamura, which I believe is a play on words with Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin.
Oh.
So there's some connection here to cryptocurrency. I've already seen that, but I haven't quite made the full connections yet. But because again, Satoshi Nakamoto, if you type in his name, he has a very interesting connection. So the founder of Bitcoin, if you type in his name, he equals 224 and 55. Well, 224 is the 55th day of the year. So that day, again, Satoshi Nakamoto is also Japanese. And what's funny is my mom was conceived in Japan, and that's her birthday. So I have a really interesting connection with Japan.
Wow. But that is interesting.
Yeah, and my mom's name equals, my mom has a huge connection to Japan, but that's just beside the point. But what's very interesting here too is that the invasion of Ukraine and Israel happened 589 days apart. And this is a big number in the XRP community, the cryptocurrency, because there's this rolling joke that XRP will go to 589.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I just found out, but the digit 589 appears at the 10th decimal digit of pi.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. How do you figure stuff like that? I guess if you have software, you can just do it instantaneously.
Well, there's a site called Subidium.
Mm-hmm.
Subid. I can't even remember how to spell this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can just look it up. There's a site called Subidium, and it's a way to
type in whatever numbers you're looking for, and it looks through pi for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up for the chat so they can see it. But
that's kind of cool.
So this 589 is a huge number in the XRP community, and it's a number that actually I think has a lot more to it than what just on the surface, But for some reason this site's not pulling up. So sorry guys, I can't pull it up for you right now. I don't know why it's not pulling up.
So it's like the word idiom predicated by the word sub.
Right, yeah.
Sub idiom. Okay.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that the 589 is not just arbitrary, because in Jewish Gematria, Donald Trump equals 589. So Donald Trump, again, tied to this ritual, and it was 589 days between the Russian invasion and the Israel invasion. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I forgot to say that earlier in the stream, but yeah.
Yeah, basically what I came up with, if your audience has maybe not watched the show that I did yesterday, but the blue beam fake alien invasion that we've been talking about for a decade or so, I found a lot of things that pointed to today as being the day for that, and the location would be Chicago. Now, I am very sure about Chicago based on all of the things that happened on the 5th. There were so many just odd things, the birds especially, that happened on the 5th, that like 3 days ago. I'm very sure about that. But as far as it being today, I'm not 100% on, because last night after my show, I found out that there was a sighting of a UFO last year on October 8th in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe that was the 1 year like beforehand incident, you know? Like I've been talking about the precursory ripples. We talk about predictive programming for the 9 and the 1 and the 1 event. And
Yeah.
were they there and we just didn't see them? Like all the Simpsons references or whatnot? Or were they not there and that's why we didn't see them? And they happened on that day, and then, you know, it rippled backward and forward. But we're only going forward, right? So we couldn't see them because they didn't exist beforehand. So what I've been doing is tracking these precursory ripples as they happen so that I can answer that question. You know, do these predictive events happen beforehand that we can see, or do we not notice them because they're not there? You know, like,
Right.
and they are there. Basically, what I've found out is that you can see the precursory ripples before a major event. You can see them; they are there beforehand, which is fascinating as far as like how does time work, kind of stuff. You know, like big esoteric questions like that.
Right. Yeah, and I understand exactly what you're saying, because you know these things kind of build up over time with different types of events going forward and back, and then you have eventually it just leads to the really bigger event. And I think that yesterday it could be looked back on even more as a bigger event than what we feel it is right now. You know, like the invasion yesterday. It seems like they're painting it as something bigger than what you might think.
It does. It does feel a little bit like they're painting it. They're trying to hype it up like it's bigger than it really is.
Right.
It might be another precursory ripple to something, you know? Like I don't know if people follow that, you know, the 17 thing, but someone sent me an email today about, you know, when you drop the thing from the letter of the alphabet. I don't know how old I don't know if that just came out, if that's a new one, or if that's been out for a while, but they were making a comparison to, there was a map that made the Lake Michigan, because Chicago is right on Lake Michigan, on the west side of Lake Michigan, right? Well, they cut Lake Michigan in half, and they took Jerusalem and whatever water body it is on the east side of, and they smushed the two maps together so that it still looks like Lake Michigan, but it's actually on one side you have Chicago, and on the other side is Jerusalem. And it said think mirror, and I was like, mirror is on my list. Mirror equals Phoenix equals 91, and what was the other thing that equaled 91? Now I forget. I have these index cards. My system is a lot slower because I'm not as organized. You could just pop it right into you've got like an account with that Gematria website, yeah? So you have saved the things that you've looked up?
Yeah, I do have an account, but I don't pay for it. I think Derek, the guy who made the account, he's allowed me to have like the kind of some of the features, but without paying. So I think because he knows that, because he knows I'm one of the people that actually uses his calculator, and
cool.
He sees that, right? So, but
anyway, I found 91. I found my 91 index card, and it says 91 is Mirror, Phoenix, Chicago Bears, Taylor, as in Taylor Swift, because the memory erasing and the earthquakes that are like happening during her concerts. That's why I have Taylor on the list there. And then 91 also equals Value Jet, that crash in Florida where it went straight down into the Everglades. And then 91 also equals New Madrid.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I got this email, and it's one of the drops from the dude, the loop. Yeah, exactly, Leslie. Because I got an email from someone last night that said they've been seeing the words "the loop" like everywhere, and that is where there's an art piece in Chicago called Cloudgate, and Cloudgate is 88. That's what the art piece is, and it's in the loop section of Chicago. So, of course, 88, I've got a big list for that. Immolate, King Kong, Trump, Poison, Landshark, California, Get Out, Enough is Enough, The Cloud, Moonfall, Artificial. I got a big long list for 88.
What's interesting about the loop is this. I'm going to go back to the XRP thing. I think there's a lot more in the XRP community than people realize. There's a bunch of like really deep decoders in that community. And one of the Riddlers on Twitter is called Mr. Pool, but backwards his name is Loop, right? In fact, one of his names on his name on Twitter is Loop, but his actual name is Mr. Pool, right? And he's this guy that I think he's a CIA agent. He's probably he's given some clues, and in fact, I saw something the other day about him actually saying that something would happen yesterday when it did, before it happened, on Twitter. And so there's a whole like community of people on Twitter literally just waiting for his post and decoding them like immediately, right? And there's definitely something to it. I don't have the patience to decode like one guy's post like that, but there are definitely people doing it. And I just found it interesting because his name is Loop. Mr. Pool, obviously Loop is the backwards of pool, right? So
yeah.
And of course, the community that decodes him is Ripple, which is again connected to what you're saying, the loop, the Ripple. Definitely something there with that, in the XRP community. So I don't know what exactly that's going to lead to with XRP, and a lot of people in the chat might say, "Oh, you're going to get rich from XRP." I don't know, but what I do find interesting, though, going back to the alien invasion thing for a minute, is. Okay, so there was in Jewish Gematria, I just want to say this because it's interesting. In Jewish Gematria, alien invasion equals 1014. So that's the date.
That's the eclipse.
1014, yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Now, also, the guy who was very famous, you know about Werner von Braun, right?
It sounds very familiar, but I'm not placing it at the moment.
Well, he was the Nazi scientist who worked on,
the weapon.
No, he was the space engineer, the aerospace engineer, and he had this theory that there would be. Well, he didn't have a theory. He said that this is what would happen. Like he said that in the future, the governments would come together and perform this fake alien invasion. And the girl that he left that information to, like, actually took it and like she propagated that information for like many years, even after his death. And then, so anyway, Werner von Braun actually equals alien invasion in multiple ciphers. So this might be somebody I haven't looked enough into him either, but this might be somebody you want to look into as well, because I'm sure there's some things hidden within his life that could be pointing to the alien invasion. So
sure, yeah. And I just put in the chat there that 144 is also O'Hare Airport.
Okay, wow.
O'Hare Airport had a tornado on July 12th. And at the time I said the same thing, like this is an odd thing. They don't generally strike near big cities, although the airport is not generally in the city. It was notable, and I made a meme. I might have done a video about it. I don't recall exactly, but I definitely made note of it at the time, so that when all of these weird things happened, well, at least one very weird thing happened on the 5th, but then other things also happened, like Dick Butkus died, and the Chan Zuckerberg thing happened that day too. So I was like, okay, so if the tornado was a ripple, and then this is a ripple, and they're 138 days apart, I think. Is that right? So then I was like, well, what's the next, what is this leading up to? There's going to be something in Chicago. I am 100% something is happening to Chicago. But as far as exactly what day it's going to fall on and exactly what thematic elements it's going to contain, like, is it going to be, sky beams? Is it going to be earthquake? Is it going to be fire, water? Because watch the water also equals is watch the water 155, right? It also equals get out of Chicago.
Okay. I
So-
mean, I would not be surprised at all about Chicago because, again, I think it's really going to be connected also a lot to Obama, and of course that's where he was based out of.
Right.
There's a lot of connections to, Chicago and so many things. I mean,
This is interesting too because he's actually from Hawaii, right? But
right.
Big Mike there is from
Supposedly.
Chicago. So you've got, Hawaii was attacked on 8/8, and today is a different way of saying 8/8. So then you'd have both Obama's hometowns, basically. No, not hometown, because I think Obama is from Honolulu, but home state, we'll say, right?
Right, yeah. I was just looking at the eclipse because I was wondering if the eclipse next year went over Chicago. It doesn't. It goes over Cleveland.
It's kind of close. Oh, and Cleveland was huge. I was talking about Cleveland all through the spring. I did a bunch of videos about Cleveland and that general area in Ohio. Huh. That's interesting.
I mean, that's why I was looking to see. What I'm really interested in is that eclipse on the 14th, though, man. There's so much, that's George Floyd's birthday, right? And he's the guy connected to I can't breathe, right?
Right. Which goes all the way back to Cheech and Chong, let me just point out.
Oh, does it? Does it go
I
back
Can't Breathe. There's that famous, well, I don't know how famous it is, but it's a funny scene from a Cheech and Chong movie where
I never watched those movies, so I wouldn't know, but that's interesting.
They're kind of dated at this point,
Yeah.
And
I mean, I know of
if you're
them.
not a pot smoker, then it's not really all that funny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting though too because the eclipse comes right after the Friday the 13th, and I keep seeing this.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I just liked the way you pronounced Oregon because it almost does sound like Oregon, right? And that's two different things because you then talked about Corpus Christi, which is the body of Christ. Well, if you go through an organ, you've got your body organs, but then it's also the sound, a pipe organ. And the C7 that's in the goat cartoon on the floor, on the tile floor, there's the C7. And so one of my subscribers looked up because she recognized that was a musical note from the hand signals that George Bush Jr. is doing in the beginning of that cartoon. He's flashing hand signs, and she said one of them was C7, the musical note. So she looked up the frequency of C7 and found it in hertz. And I was like, oh my God, because I've been thinking that they're going to use sound like they've been testing it at these Taylor Swift concerts. Using a sound weapon to cause an earthquake and also memory loss. Because people are not remembering the concerts when they leave.
I think it's very plausible because, these people, what I find interesting about that is in the Bible, David was the musician, right? And God favored David, and the song Hallelujah says, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. And that whole earthquake earlier this year in Turkey, I believe, was connected to the key of David because the key of David is what I see as the song telling us the chord is the secret chord. That's the key of David is the secret chord that he played that pleased the Lord. And what's interesting is in music, because I'm a musician, so I know how chords are made. And when you're making a chord, any chord or any even there's three notes in a major chord and a minor chord, but they're the 1, the 3, and the 5, right? So you take the 1, the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, and this is how you get a major chord. So what's interesting is the key of David equals 1, 3, 5. So just like I said, the key of David equals 1, 3, 5, and the chord that everyone loves to hear in their ears that the mainstream music plays is usually the 1, 3, 5. This is how you build a chord. That's that's kind of how I see this music connection with David and being the musician who played the, I don't know if that sparks anything. What's interesting is the key of David also equals alien invasion.
Take the "the" out of there and just do key of David. So 102, yeah?
Yeah,
If you
key
take
of David.
The is 102. Right? 102, key of David. Oh,
Hey, that's interesting too. Is I believe that key of David also matches Taylor Swift
oh,
in a couple ciphers. Well, it's not in the same ciphers, but it's reversed. It's 168, 168, 51, 51. And we know that 51 is connected to aliens as well, because what is the most famous alien? It's Area 51, right?
yeah. I didn't even think about that for my show yesterday. Because I have a list. I have a 51 list in my chart, in my cards here somewhere.
And what's interesting is Taylor Swift is like the most famous musician right now, and she's playing the chords, and people are having memory loss, right? So it's kind of connected to that, what you're saying.
And it's causing an earthquake that's actually registering on the Richter scale. I mean, that's a lot of power.
Right. Yeah.
So yesterday in my show, I talked about also Alpha Centauri BB, because the 22. So day number 220 in the year was August 8th, and we know what happened on that day. 220 equals white phosphorus. 220 equals the Brotherhood of Death. And when they named this exoplanet Alpha Centauri BB, they made the two B's, one's a capital B and one's a lowercase b. And one of my subscribers sent me a message. She said, that's how you write a musical note. It's B flat.
Right. Yep. Yeah. B flat.
So I don't remember what C7 is. Is that just a major chord, or is that C7th or something?
C7 chord, you would take the normal three notes of the, like I said, the 1 3, the 1 3 and the 5, and you would add the 7th, which would be, I don't know what note that is off the top of my head, but you would add the 7th. So basically, there's definitely a connection there, I think, because C7 would be 3 7, and this is a huge number. The 3 7 is connected to the word perfect. Because if you type in the word perfect, I always think of this. This is what Jurassic always talks about on his channel. But the word perfect equals 73 and 37, so it has the reverse. Nice. And what's interesting about 73 and 37, they have a very special number relationship with 12 and 21, because 73 is the 21st prime and 37 is the 12th prime.
Oh, that is so interesting.
So what you get is this step down. If you just step down to the primes, you get the same exact mirror number, right?
Yeah.
You get 12 and 21 and 73 and 37. So these are special numbers. And yeah, I mean, the 73 could also connect you to Saturn, because Saturn's huge number is also 21 and 73 is the 21st prime. But that would be looking at the Saturn connection. But yeah, so...
And
it's very interesting.
51 equals wave and Mars and giant.
What, 51?
Yeah, because right before we started talking about 37, you mentioned 51. So
okay, because wave equals Rams. That's interesting. The Rams,
like the football team that was playing at the start of the Ukraine.
Yeah, they signaled. I mean, their win essentially, to me, signaled the start of that war, because they wore the Ukraine colors. That's what the Rams wear, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so it's interesting that Rams equals wave. Huh.
So we have the C7th note in the goat cartoon, and then from Alpha Centauri BB, we have B flat. So I wonder how many other musical notes are coded into things that we could find, and what... Because, remember from, I don't know if you've seen this movie, but the Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah.
That spaceship, do, 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 it's playing the same 5 notes over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely something. Every time I hear like these little tunes that they do in the movies, especially even what's that one from the Hunger Games? That just the simple like 2 or 3 note thing. Yeah. What was it? Yeah. I can't even remember how it went, but I used to...
I don't either.
my ex used to be was a very talented musician, and she could anytime she heard a note, she could actually tell you just by hearing it what the note was. Like, so if she heard a B
Wow,
flat, she could tell you that was a B flat. Like, she was
that's
super
impressive. Yeah.
talented. And I remember her saying something that the theme song for the Hunger Games was very eerie, the way that they had set the notes up, like that
Interesting.
little theme,
Yeah, yeah.
and
But
it
I
just
can't think.
because yeah. Go ahead.
No, no. I was just trying to remember what that little note series is, and I am not thinking of it. So
Well, this is actually a good stream to get me on this music thing, because I think there's something to this notes and the scales and how they use frequencies, and this is something definitely to dive into for sure.
yeah, and I've been trying to get through to Charlie. Look out for Charlie, because he's doing a lot of this stuff with sound. Like he's anywhere he takes a recording, there are voices, like in your house, outside, at the store, somebody else's house, morning, noon, and night. There are voices in the ambient sound. So I thought, if they're using sound as a weapon already, how can we counteract it? And so I haven't been able to get a response from him, and I don't have a direct way to contact him, like an email address or something. So, because this is what I would like. I think that it would be a good field of study is to figure out what these notes are, and then how, because it's a frequency is a wave, and if you send out the same frequency wave, they will cancel each other out,
Yeah.
right? So the two waves heading towards each other of the same frequency, they will cancel each other out if you have them at the right whatever. I don't know all the details, but so how can we protect ourselves, defend ourselves, and then maybe we can cancel these sounds out if we know how it's operating, what notes are being used, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something to look into. Like I said, I mean, I just know the basis, some of the musical parts of it, but I'm sure it could translate into like this frequency stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah, because she watched this subscriber of mine. She saw the C7 in the goat cartoon and saw that Bush Jr. was flashing those hand signs, and there's three of them. She said she didn't know what the other two were, but one of them was C7, and she looked up the hertz value of that note. It's very high note. It's very high. It's exceedingly high. Like Mariah Carey and beyond. Like you could, I feel like if you cranked it up high enough, you could break glass with this note.
huh.
And that reminds me of the meteor that came to Moscow. I forget the date of that. 2013 was it? That meteor like blew through Moscow and broke everybody's glass. It's a frequency. It's a wave, that's causing that, because it didn't hit their glass at all. It was nowhere near their house or whatever, but still their glass was broken because of the frequency that it was vibrating at as it was coming through the atmosphere.
Yeah. I'm just kind of looking also while you're talking. I'm kind of looking for some of these things, but like it's something I'll have to do later too, because I have to read through all these things. It's not easy to understand some of this stuff either. You have to really have but yeah, I think that's something interesting that you're bringing up, and I think for me it's definitely interesting too. I've thought about it a few times looking into this, but just never.
Well, yeah, like you have an inkling of it, but then like that's a vast field to research, right? So where do you start? Well, I think we have a couple clues now anyway, that there's something about B flat and there's something about C7. So once try translating things into hertz frequencies and playing it and seeing what happens, like if you crank up B flat really loud, what happens?
Right.
And then does it matter if it's, because doesn't the keys repeat on a piano, which 88 keys on a piano? And doesn't it repeat? It's, A through G
Right.
over and over again, right? So then, is it a low frequency? Is it a high frequency? Like, because VLF, like very low frequency, that's like an earthquake, very low frequency. But then a very high frequency is going to break glass, right?
Yeah, what's interesting is, once again, as you said, the keys on the piano, it also reminds me once again of the key of David, right? and how pianos have keys, right? So this is also connected with, because what was really interesting about Bray Wyatt, I'm always going back to him because he had so much symbolism. And when he returned right before his death, the last match he had, he came back with a new song. And what was interesting about this song, it was in the song it said "Die for me." That was one of the lyrics of his song. And he comes back, and the lyrics in the song says "Die for me," and then he dies, right? So it's really interesting. But he came back with this song it's a piano. It's just like simple notes on a piano, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like this eerie thing, though, too. And what was interesting about his entrance when that song would start is there would be a door there. And the door, as soon as the piano would pick up, the music would pick up and the frequency, it would start to go faster, the door would just burst open. So do you get the symbolism here? The frequency picking up, and then the door burst, or the frequency bursts, whatever, whatever
and
the
it
door.
also reminds me that Jesus is the door, isn't he?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
none can come through to the Father but by me, through the door.
Right. Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's why Bray Wyatt's door symbol was just like super like interesting, because like you had the music, the eerie music, and then the pickup of the sound, and then the door bursts open, and then he comes through with a lantern, right?
I am the light. I am the way, the truth, and the light.
And then the song that he would get everyone to sing is, "He's got the whole world in his hands," and like everyone would hold up their phones, right? So this was hugely symbolic of so many different things. That's why, I could probably do like a whole 20 videos on Bray Wyatt's symbolism, like, because like there's so much to it. But yeah, this reminds me of the whole keys and the music and the door, right? So yeah, and that's what's connected to the chapter in the Bible, the Philadelphia chapter, is where it mentions the key of David, right? And Philadelphia is a big thing right now because WrestleMania next year is going to be in Philadelphia. And last year it was Philadelphia was in the Super Bowl, and even Philadelphia could again be in the Super Bowl this year, because they're doing well. The Eagles are. So and Philadelphia is where the Liberty Bell is, right? And they've been doing a lot of symbolism. Mm-hmm. With the Philadelphia theme, and then the eclipse happens right after WrestleMania next year. That's in Philadelphia. So.
Oh my gosh! Does it really? Okay, so the Goat cartoon shows the Statue of Liberty, and like I don't know if just the light comes down off of it or the whole thing crumbles. I don't remember, but it was 138 years ago this year that the Statue of Liberty in pieces arrived, and then next year it'll be 138 years since it was erected. And also the Washington Monument, I think, is 138 years ago this year or next. I can't remember which. But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know how interesting that number is.
Yeah. I have a card for that too. I can't remember now. I know that Donald Trump equals 138, and it's the Phoenix number as far as counting. You'll have things that happen in 138 days, 138 years, probably 138 months, although I don't often work with months. George H.W. Bush also equals 138.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Huh. That's a very short list that I've got there for 138.
Well, 138 is not one number I'm very good at remembering, to be honest. So I have to go into my. The only thing I think of when I hear 138 is the Phoenix thing from Jason, and then the Donald Trump. That's like that's what I think of.
Yeah, the only other thing I've got here is George H.W. Bush.
Yeah,
I have a longer list for 137, which is the breath that you take in and hold before you sneeze. It's the fine structure constant. The gap in between the spark plugs is the 137, and that's Richard Nixon, total eclipse, Anthony Fauci, Great Pyramid. Yeah.
Well, divine feminine equals 138.
Oh yeah, dang.
And Ouroboros, the snake that eats its tail.
That's what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, the Ouroboros, because the 137 is the gap in between the mouth and the tail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why these are the kinds of things that keep coming up for me that make me think that time is now. It is not 16 years from now, you know? But it could be both. It could be both. I'm not discounting that something else could happen 16 years from now, but I'm feeling like there's major things that are happening now that deserve our attention as much as something 16 years from now, which we might not even live to see. You know, it's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know if I'll make it to that long. So,
I mean, I'm 52, so that's a long time when you're.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But the way I move around the world, who knows where I'm going to be? I mean, right now I'm just about getting to be with my girlfriend and start and try to figure out so that we don't have to be apart for 3 months every 3 months. So
yeah, that's lame. That's totally lame.
And I like it here.
Married? What if you marry her?
Yeah, I mean that's what we're gonna do, but we gotta do it fast, and we gotta figure out how we're gonna do that. So it's just a process, so it's one of those things I'm just trying to figure out on the go, I guess.
Right.
But
where are you from, Cody? You're from the States.
Yeah, Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, Ohio. Yeah. Where Cleveland is.
Well, yeah, I'm from Amish land. Like my job back in the States is working with the Amish. So.
Oh, nice.
As a matter of fact, I've been watching this really cool guy on YouTube. He's an Amish. Well, he's not actually Amish, but he dresses like an Amish, and he grew up around the Amish, and he's been doing this like ministry out there in the backwoods of Kentucky, right? This Amish preaching ministry, and I just been watching a lot of his videos. And yeah, I've just been enjoying it because his videos are really peaceful. He takes people out into the woods out there, and just the Amish are just so simple, right? And the one area where I could probably survive if things really hit is in my area where I live, where the Amish are just everywhere. Like I know a lot of Amish that would probably help me out if the grid went down and I couldn't get food. The Amish would probably help me out. But the bad thing is that I think a lot of people would go to the Amish in that time, and I would be a bit worried because like I think people would think, oh, the Amish probably have stuff. Let's go to them. So that would be interesting to see what happens if that happened and how the Amish would deal with that, because, they really are self-sufficient. They literally don't need anything. The only reason they're part of society is so that they can help out and look like it's just part of their religion, that they try to be as connected and try not to look like they're completely distant from society, I guess. And then there's the Amish that are pretty much normal Americans too. They have cars, and it just depends on what sect you're talking about. But yeah.
I'm from Pennsylvania, so I'm familiar. And like my one side of the family is right from where Biden's from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Biden and his wife got married in the same town, like little town in upstate New York, that my ex-husband and I had our honeymoon. Like little tiny rinky-dink little town up in upstate New York. I was like, really? That's really weird. And then Biden went to the same university that I did. In upstate
what university was that? What university?
Syracuse University. He went to the law school, Syracuse University, and I went to the state school that's right next door. They're like, Syracuse University is on my college diploma because they're attached to each other, but it's a state school, so it was a way cheaper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And 107, I just came across Evergiven because I just did a video about Evergiven, Evergrande, Everglades, and what's the other one? Evergreen.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of stuff with Evers, right? Evergiven.
So Evergreen and Evergrande both equal 99 because Evergrande has an E on the end of it, the way they spell it.
Yeah. And
then 107 is Evergiven. And I forget, Everglades was like, I forget what that one was.
Evergiven is 107.
Yeah, Everglades is 98, but the other two are both 99. Interesting. Because I really feel like there's something for Florida too. And I did a show that talked about that value jet crash in the Everglades.
Yeah.
And I forget now what the isometrics are like if you go back, whatever the distance is between now and then if you go back that same distance, I forget what's there, but I'd have to look it up again. My system of taking notes about my videos is terrible.
I also am not good at taking notes.
Like I have the notes, but they're not organized. It's crazy over here.
I'm not even that good at taking notes. A lot of the stuff is in my head, and then I sometimes only pull it out whenever I remember it. And I need to get better at taking notes. Let's put it that. I think people would love my decodes even more if I was actually a note taker, because I don't really take any notes, and I could probably make a lot better connections if I actually had stuff written down and organized. But I just,
organized.
Yeah, organized. Yeah, so that's. I was just looking actually right before that. I was looking at this Corpus Christi again because I'm zeroed in on that now because man, like.
Yeah, that was a very cool connection that you made. It goes through Oregon, like your body organs, and then it goes through the body of Christ, and then into the water. Like that's very cool.
Well, what's really interesting about that whole thing is that it goes through Corpus Christi, CC 33, right?
Oh yeah.
Jesus at 33. And then Oregon is the 33rd state.
Oh no, it is.
So you got it starts in the 33rd state and it leaves right onto the ocean over CC 33. Right?
Yep, it sure does. Wow.
And Corpus Christi, Texas equals 239, which is the 52nd prime, which is connected to a lot of things. The 52, Pope, Rabbit, all kinds of things. And it equals 113, which is the day before. You could say that 1013 is just 113, right? So.
Oh yeah, what was I going to talk about November? Because I did a show about New Orleans and the water situation there, and I think another video too, right around the same time, and I kept coming to November 6th, which is an upside down and reversed. It's like mirrored twice, the 116. If you mirror it twice, you know what that number is. So it was 44 days from 9/23 is 11/6.
You know, that was that's interesting. Sorry, I just typed in body of Christ, which is what Corpus Christi means.
Mm-hmm.
It equals alien invasion.
No, it does. Wow.
And not just in the one cipher, it equals alien invasion in like two ciphers.
There was one time you showed something that was like all 4 ciphers were exactly, and it was like amazing. It was just not two things that you would think of would be that closely connected. And I was like, dang, all 4, holy crud.
Yeah, there's a few things. I mean, there's a lot of things probably I've brought up in the past that have like all 4 cipher matches. And that's when you know it's like real on, like.
Yeah. It's on like Donkey Kong.
wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't it one I showed. Yeah, it was that one recently I showed Joseph. He's in the chat right now. Was the one. Well, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but there was one recently. It was the full name of the performer at Super Bowl 57. And if you typed in the performer's full name, Usher something the fourth or whatever his name is, it was a direct match in all 4 ciphers to Super Bowl 58.
Wow.
And that was the guy that they got to perform at Super Bowl 58, right?
Well, yeah, that was because that's what he was born to do. I mean, if it was a match in all 4 ciphers, then that's his whole purpose here,
Yeah, so like that was the one I can remember recently that was like an all 4 cipher match, but there's been plenty over the years for sure. Like I think Judge and Gavel are in the exact all 4 match, Judge, Gavel. I think they're all 4. Yep, they are. So it's like, and Witch and Broom, I think also is one of the ones that's all 4 ciphers. Also, speaking of Witch, something that I knew was coming. I knew something was coming on Saturday after I saw what happened on wrestling on the Friday, because they did this skit with these 2 Scottish wrestlers, these women called Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. And they're a group. They're 2 women, and they did a witch ceremony, like literally right on live TV. Like they were practicing witchcraft, literally right. And they referenced the movie. Okay, this is creepy. They referenced the movie The Witch, and it was a complete reference to Baphomet, like because also it was connected to Athena, because they had the owl in the end, or not Athena. What is it? Artemis. Who has the owl? I can't remember now.
Yeah, Artemis sounds right, but I'm thinking you said Athena, and the song popped into my head, and I'm wondering when that song came out.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it was this movie they were referencing, because they would say, so at the end of this clip, these two girls in WWE I was telling you about on Friday, right before the invasion, right? They said, "We are going to live deliciously," and this comes from the movie The Witch. And if you type in "live deliciously," it brings up this movie, and this movie is all about a satanic goat.
Oh my God.
And the phrase "live deliciously" is, you can find lots of pictures with the goat, and it's obviously Baphomet. It's a complete tie to Baphomet. It was creepy, really.
It sounds creepy.
Yeah. In the movie itself, I read the synopsis. Yeah, I wouldn't watch that. I mean, that's super satanic movie. Like there's like a baby that dies in the beginning, and like, of
I don't
course,
think I want to hear anymore.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, that's just super. I hate when this stuff happens, and like you just see just how like creepy these people really are, because it's especially in WWE, it's so out in front, and because people don't even question it. And yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how unhidden they say, like secret, occult kind of stuff. It's not. They are wide open with this stuff. You can look right on their website and it will tell you exactly what they're doing, and still people don't see it. It's like, what do I need to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's why I said like WWE is, that's why for me it's like, man, I don't know how people can't.
Yeah.
They're blatantly dark and witchcrafty, and even in these two women, they were connected to the Scottish rite of Freemasonry, because both of them were Scottish, right? And they both were connected to they call themselves the Flame Keepers, right? So, and they both have the name Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, I just see in the chat here, Kimberly says the alarm pulling stunt in Congress before the emergency alert on the phones. What was the difference in days there? How many days difference was that? I remember I know about both of these things. I don't have a cell phone. I did not get an alert, but I know about it. So now I just don't pay attention necessarily. So like, I don't care what happens in Congress. They pulled an alarm. Yay. But that's a very good association.
Alarm pull in Congress. So you want me to look up these dates then?
Well, no, I was just wondering aloud if anybody I know that the emergency alert was on the 4th, right? So I didn't pay attention to when that alarm was pulled in Congress. Like, what day was that?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. It's
hard to look stuff up, because like the newspaper articles, they'll say it happened last Tuesday. Like, well, what day was that? Come on. I gotta bring up a calendar.
Yeah, usually in these articles they say on Tuesday, and then you're like, okay, well now I got to go back and see what day was. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's annoying. Like, you can't go by the date of the article. You want to know when it actually happened.
I mean, this thing
sometimes it's more important when the broad populace finds out, because that's when you get the emotional impact. So that's what that's what things are coded to, is this collective emotional impact. So if only a few people know about something, it's going to have much less of an impact. It won't be coded as hard. But so then something will happen, only a few people know about it, and then a couple days later, it's on the news, and everybody knows about it. So that's like Lahaina. It actually happened on the 8th, but then it didn't hit the news until the 9th or 10th, right? So it matters. It makes a difference sometimes, the coding of the dates, how many people know about it and when,
Yeah. I get what you're saying, because there's so much stuff that also carries over to dates, and it's like, that's why I had to check myself on the Russia invasion too, because I saw some people saying it was on the 25th, but I know it was on the 24th. It was late at night on the 24th. At least in the United States, it was already the 25th in most of in Europe and Asia, right? So, and I think it was actually
a man who looks like Democrat Jamal Bowman.
Yeah, I mean, what can you can't even, is he wearing a mask in this? It looks like he's wearing a mask. Like you can't even see his head. It looks like
out.
Yeah, I don't know what it's just. Yeah, it's a blur, I guess, but it makes him look like
That's weird.
That's because they don't want you to know it's all a big ritual. So it's like they have to. None of these videos they ever show you actually give you any clear. They're always the most crappy images ever, and it's because it's almost like they don't want you to see something clearly, right? So
scroll down a little bit. What does this article say? Democrat pulled the alarm. What date does it say here?
Okay, so the article was posted on September 30th. So it was either the 29th, the 30th, or the 1st, probably. I would say it was probably the 30th because it says in the statement, Bowman said, "I want to personally clear up confusion surrounding today's events."
It says earlier today, right? So that means it happened on September 30th. So that's 4 days difference, right? September 30th to 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th was the emergency alert. 4 days prior. Okay, so October 5th, all those things happened in Chicago. 4 days later is tomorrow, not today.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the thing about, what's interesting about what you said about the alien invasion, it's interesting though, because we did have an invasion, right? We just had an invasion. Like, I know it wasn't an alien invasion, but Hamas did invade and attack Israel. So it's kind of like, I wonder if that's the event. Do you think that's possible? Or you think it's going to have to be like an alien thing?
Gosh.
Because in terms of this, alien just means a stranger, right? So, but in terms of this, the Israelites would consider Hamas agents as aliens, right? I mean, they're strangers. They don't want them there, right? So it's interesting to think about it that way. I don't know if that's actually
a very good point. That is a good point.
Because
alien is like an immigrant, a stranger, someone who does not belong.
And there's been a lot of stuff going on with illegal aliens in the United States right now, right?
Yeah, right. And what's it? Unalienable rights, unalienable. So you could think of alien as being putting a lien on something, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was kind of thinking when you said that in your live stream. I was like, I wonder if this is really like the event that you're already seeing and that you're seeing is just like the actual invasion that just happened. But again, we know that they're going to also try to pull this actual aliens from the sky thing too at some point, probably. So
and there was that drop that someone emailed me that showed Lake Michigan, but it was Jerusalem on the east side of Lake Michigan and Chicago on the other, and it said, "Think mirror. It's going to be biblical."
Yeah.
Well, it's
and what's interesting is if you pull up the word alien, the very first definition it gives is belonging to a foreign country.
Yep. So it could be alien in one sense on one side of the realm, and it could be alien in another sense on the other side of the realm,
Yeah.
What is alien spelled backwards if you're looking at it in a mirror? I don't think it spells anything, right? Alien backwards is Nyla. It doesn't spell anything. I like it when I follow, I'll follow something for half an hour and I come up with nothing. It's just hilarious, okay, so that's a big nothing. Awesome.
Nyla, I mean, that's probably a name, isn't it? Nyla? I don't know how that would connect, but.
And I don't know anybody named Nyla, so.
Interesting, though. Let me type in just Nyla that way and see if anything comes up. I'm just interested now because there's an Indian woman, Nyla Devi, which is Kamala Harris.
Oh my gosh, that's funny, right? She shares
one of the first women that popped up. Yeah. But I don't even know. She's not a very big personality. Oh, it's a movie. Yeah, Nyla 2019.
That connects to 21 or 22, depending on when in the year it was.
A virus. Wow.
Oh, snap. Which, that's an alien invader of your body, right?
Right. That's interesting, right? Because it's a virus, an alien invasion, and it's just the backwards of alien.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about the cover of this movie is it shows like an apocalyptic thing, and it literally kind of looks like the spelling from the Alien movies almost.
Right?
It says a
That's
virus was released in 2021 AD. What? That's literally the first thing in the synopsis of this is a virus was released in 2021 AD.
dang.
By the year 3849, the human population has dropped below 0.000001%, leaving fewer than 7,000 people. The story follows a small group of survivors being led by a young girl named Nyla.
Okay, I want to watch this movie. That sounds good.
I mean, that's interesting, though, because it's alien
Yeah.
backwards. It's obviously connected with COVID because it's saying that in 2021 AD, which is really the time of COVID was pretty much during 2021.
And this
So,
movie must have been filmed either early in 2019 or in 2018 for it to come out in 2019. That's before any COVID, nothing, you know?
yeah, I mean, it definitely had to have been filmed before the COVID.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
but I just don't think this is like a really big movie, so there's not a lot of information on it, right?
Right? I'm gonna see if I can. I watched last night because someone in the chat yesterday, I think it was my moderator there, not Alice. She mentioned Captive State, movie with Jonathan Goodman, John
Uh-huh.
Goodman, and so I watched that last night. It was actually pretty good. I liked it.
Huh. I've never even heard of that one, but I'm assuming like there's so much movies that you probably could watch. Like I just don't have time for movies anymore. Almost, you know what I
I
mean?
know, right? Exactly. And I did the gematria on it, or not the gematria, but the isometrics, and now I can't even find my notebooks at all. But it comes to like November of 21.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna here. I found my notebook here. I didn't label it though. It was late last night, and I was starting to get tired. So, there it is. Captive State. It came out on March 15th of 2019, plus 666 days to January 9th of 21, which is a flip date, and then it leads to November 6th of 22, which is a year before the November 6th that I've been predicting things for this year. So there's a 1 year ripple. 1 year beforehand ripple to 11/6. Something's happening on 11/6 this year, I really think.
November 6th, I believe, is the connected to the movie or the show Stranger Things.
Oh, snap. Is it really? And
I
it's
think that's no. It was celebrated as okay. So in the Stranger Things series, November 6th is the day that they give that Will Byers went missing, which is the main like the very first thing that really happens is the main character kid, he goes missing, right? And they're all like he goes into the upside down, right?
yeah. I've never watched it, but yes, I remember now. Also,
And
there's 55 days left of the year at that point.
55? Really? Is that the
Yeah.
day of 55?
Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting because that is already connected with the war invasion.
Yes. And 11/6 upside down and backwards.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know that our Jurassic Liars has been talking about June 11th, right? Like 116. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought maybe he's talking about who knows? Maybe he's talking about the other 116. I don't know.
Yes, right? I never thought of that. Yeah.
It's a Monday. It has 60 date numerology and it has 15 date numerology. Okay, that's interesting. It has 15 date numerology in the same numerology method as the invasion of Ukraine and the invasion of Israel. So it has this 15 connection always. And the reason that's important is because in Gematria, war equals 15. So all 3 days, the war of Ukraine, the war start in Israel, both had 15 in the same method, right? And then 11/6 also has that. And it's the reverse date on the calendar of the invasion of Ukraine.
224 is 11/6. Like mirrored? Like there are mirrors of each other? Is that what you're saying?
On the calendar, yeah,
That's
they're
day
like
55,
the
basically, is what you're saying. 224 is day 55.
right,
Yep.
right. Wow, there's 88,
Dang, dude.
88 weeks apart.
Wow. And what did I say? Something. Oh, the isometrics for captive state led to 11/6 of last year.
Huh. Really?
Yes. So, that's super interesting. And I think this Nyla movie. I have to
Yeah.
look up the exact date that it came out, but it was also 2019.
Well,
IBD, that IMBD website, I don't like that because it doesn't give you the date. It just gives you the year.
it
I
doesn't
need
give
the
me
wiki.
anything. But let me see if I can find a better thing, but I didn't really see.
I'm going to see if I can find the wiki for it.
There
Because
is a
that'll be.
city called Nyla.
There's a city called Nyla?
It's a municipality in province of Burgos. I don't know what that even is, but it's somewhere.
You
So
sure
it's in
that's not
Spain.
a fandom? Oh, okay.
It's in Spain. This Oh, this is getting more interesting. Wow. So there's another way to spell Nyla. In Hebrew, Nyla is a special Jewish prayer service that is held only on Yom Kippur. Wow.
Which
It's
just
spelled,
happened?
yeah, not Yom Kippur was on September 25th.
Oh, snap! 44 days from Yom Kippur. It was on the 25th?
Yom Kippur, yeah, it ended on the 25th, yeah.
Plus 44 days. Plus 42 days. Sorry, war. Plus 42 days is 11/6, yeah?
Yeah, hold on, let me look. 9/25 to 11/6. 42, yeah.
So Yom Kippur plus war equals 11/6?
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
And again, like I said, that date numerology has the 15, just like the 15 was big yesterday. So the 15 was huge yesterday because, again, war equals 15. It had 15 date numerology. And Hamas equals 15. So they invaded on 15 date numerology, and Hamas equals 15. In the same, okay, so Hamas equals 42, 15, and war equals 42, 15.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's
Well,
very
the
interesting.
reason that's interesting, I came up with 9/25 as being a date because of the Trump and Twitter. Trump and Tucker talked on Twitter. That's a lot of T's on August 23rd, and that interview started at 8:55 p.m. And I was like, okay, what's up with that? That's weird. 5 minutes to 9. Well, that's
Mhm.
5 to 9, which is the reverse of 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5. There was a movement,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
9 to 5. And I said, okay, that's September 25th. I didn't recognize that it was Yom Kippur. So that is interesting. I was just looking at that interview again. It was on August 23rd at 8:55 p.m. Well, today is the 8th. So tomorrow's the 9th, 5 to 9. 5 hours to the 9th? 5 to 9 today? Because how many days is it from? I looked it up earlier, but now I forget. From that interview on August 23rd to today.
August 23rd to today.
Uh-huh. 46, which is Chicago.
Yeah.
46 is Chicago. So the day of the Trump and Tucker interview that started at that really odd time of 5 minutes to 9 o'clock
Yeah.
was 46 days ago today, and 46 equals Chicago, which also equals Lahaina. Lahaina is 46 also. And that was on 8/8, and this is Oct 8.
Right. Right.
Phew, dang.
Yeah. I mean this.
It's a lot. Makes my brain tired.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's always more, but this Nyla thing has really got my mind turning.
Now you're ready to take off on another rabbit chase.
Yeah, it looks like Leslie in the chat has posted.
Oh, she found it. Oh, it was another 8th. That's funny.
December 8th, 2019.
It was on another day that was an 8. That's funny.
Well, that was in New Zealand, but I mean, maybe that's where the movie was actually released at. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was. It's just that's where it was made at and released at a smaller budget.
So wait, that means the movie would be being released like right around when COVID was like coming up. When was like the first ever? Didn't we just hear about it in December of 2019? COVID.
If you were paying attention to things, you would have known about it in December. Yeah.
Yeah,
Most
that's what
people didn't find out until. Most people didn't really find out about it until January of 2020. But
what's interesting is it has that 128 again, which is a number that
right.
That number was.
It's 64 times 2, and 64 has been huge.
Yeah, 64 is a huge number. It really is.
I got a big list for that one.
I mean, 64 comes up a lot.
Yeah.
It comes up a lot.
Well, it's 8 times 8.
Yeah.
And 8s are all over everything right now. 8s are just everywhere.
Well, the 128, too, it always reminds me of Bill Gates' birthday because he's essentially born on 128. And Bray Wyatt, no, he was born on 1028, but if you drop the 0, it's 128. So, also, Bray Wyatt was super coded with his last days were super coded with that number 128. He was hugely tied to COVID as well. So, let's see. Yeah, so I think that's let me see. Hold on. So from the December 8th, 2019. Wasn't that the day last year? December 8th was the day that the prisoner swap happened. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Last year?
Yeah, it was last year. There the prisoner swap. The woman basketball player. What's her name? I can't think.
Was that long ago already? Wow.
Well, that was very symbolic, I believe, because we swapped this girl for the Merchant of Death. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. Right.
And then it's just like, I mean, I just feel like at some point, like, what if they like spin this story like this guy that we released, the Merchant of Death, like he was a weapons dealer? What if it ends up coming out that somehow he's involved on some sort of attack on the United States? Like, that would just be crazy if they did something like that. Like, the person that we released is the one that comes and attacks us, you know?
Right.
We traded for a basketball player.
Right.
Yeah, it was
that would
Britney
be so
Griner,
American to do that.
Yeah, right. Britney Griner was her name. That's what it was.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So that is really interesting. So from the release of that movie, Nyla, to the declaration of the pandemic was 94 days. And 94 is the big Seattle, Washington, Bill Gates number. And that's where the first case was, right? So interesting that it's from that movie about the virus. It's 94 days, Seattle, Washington, 94. Zach, he always talks a lot about, I can't remember what he always says about the 94 and COVID, but it's all connected to Seattle, Washington, and Bill Gates. And Bill Gates became famous in 94 after the death of Cobain, right?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because right after Kurt Cobain died in Seattle, right, Bill Gates became famous in the same city, right? That's when he really became really well known.
I don't know. I was out of the loop at that time, literally.
Yeah, that's what I could think about that. But the 94 is also, yeah, there's a lot to say about it, but my brain's not working very much anymore.
So I just came up with something real close. That 12-8 isometrically from 2019, that's real close to the start of the war in Ukraine. It's earlier in the month it came to, like the beginning of February, but I just saw this. It was in the same month, and I was like, that's curious.
Oh, so from that movie, you mean?
Nyla? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The 94 really stuck out to me because I know that's a number tied to the the fact that it was 94 days after the movie, I can't even talk anymore. The declaration, but it also was 3 months and 3 days, so we know how big that number is.
Right?
But
Oh wow, 94. I have a really long list for that one too.
yeah,
Unicorn.
I bet you do because there's a lot of 94s. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
Unicorn, November, John, Third Eye, Black Horse, Oculus, X.com, all spelled out. Insomnia, King Archer, Grid Down, Luna Park, and American Eagle.
Yeah, that's interesting. American
It
Eagle.
is funny how things are connected that way. You're like, really? Like, that's kind of random. It also is totally dependent on me looking something up. I mean, if I haven't looked it up, it could be on the list, but I just don't know it, you know?
Yeah. That's why I like having the tool on here that I have. I can look it up really fast. I don't always use it though. I mean, I have a lot in my head, but if I'm missing something, sometimes I use it. So
I use that website all the time, but I don't have, like, everything I've looked up isn't saved on there. You know, I have my index cards. So,
yeah. In the chat, Richard just shared that dead equals 94 in reverse. So that's interesting. Dead.
dead.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wait a minute.
Equals 94 in reverse.
I was going to say, it can't possibly, those letters don't equal 94. But yeah, I gotcha.
What's interesting about the word dead is it equals
It's
14
14, yeah.
in two ciphers. It equals 14 in both because it's just the first. You don't have any double letters. It's all just the same. So even in the reduction cipher, it's still going to be 14 because the letters are already all reduced. So
What does CBDC equal? Because I noticed that those could be musical notes too.
I can't even spell
The CB
CBDC.
Central Bank
12.
Digital Currency 12. I was just curious. But those could be musical notes too. CBDC, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wouldn't be a very good chord progression, but I mean, those definitely are notes.
It would make a terrible song, but they are notes.
Yeah, that would I would if I had a guitar with me right now, I would try to play it and see what it sounds like, but I'm sure it wouldn't sound good.
Hey, you know what? You would have a very unique channel if you started combining your Gematria stuff with and have your guitar and play, you know, like who's doing that, you know? That would be very cool to decode things in musically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, music was my first love for, I mean, before I was artistic with Gematria and all this other stuff. That was my first, my first talent, I guess you could say.
If you could bring that in somehow, then that would, I mean, there are lots of folks doing Gematria. I like your channel because I like the fact that you're working to use it as a predictive tool and not just eyeballing things behind us, because that's pretty easy to do in retrospect, you know, but to make predictions with it is something else entirely. And so I appreciate your channel for that. But I don't know anybody who's trying to combine like Gematria and music. That's like another level, you know?
I mean, music is just numbers too. So that's,
right?
What's interesting is I was horrible at math and I was good at music, but I never was good at music because of the numbers. But now, what's sad about it is though I don't have a guitar anymore because since I started traveling, I just can't lug a guitar around with me anymore.
I get that. Yeah, totally.
So I really miss playing music. And in Germany, I had one of my girlfriend's neighbors actually let me borrow a guitar, and it wasn't a great one, but it did get me by. But I would like my own like really nice guitar. I used to have like 4 or 5 like really nice guitars. Like I used to have like 4 or 5 guitars that were worth like 3,000 a piece. Like that's how I used to collect these really expensive guitars.
Wow.
And then I decided I'm a minimalist. I don't want a bunch of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And now I have everything I own is in my backpack. So it's a big change. And when you're a musician, you can't just carry around guitars. And so that's what I miss. If I could go to the beach tomorrow in this beautiful view that I have here and play guitar there, I would love it. I just miss that. But I for now, I just have to settle for the view without the guitar. But Yeah, my favorite thing to do is to sit in a beautiful nature scene and just play music. That's like my favorite thing.
Nice.
So yeah, one day I'll have my guitar again, though, and like I said, I might do what you're saying
Hey,
is.
my dad used to have. My dad played guitar. And
Oh,
he had the tuner that he used was a round thing. It was like a harmonica, but it was round.
hmm
And he used that. You blow through it to make the note, and he used that to tune by ear his guitar.
Really? That's
So
interesting.
you could that's very small, hold in your hand. You could travel with that, and it just plays the note that you want to play. Like just thinking
Mm,
of other ways other than guitar that you could combine music with Gematria in your videos. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
If you wanted to, just an idea.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's so many things I could do with music. I mean, because I can play guitar, I could also play bass and ukulele, and maybe getting a little small ukulele is even a better option.
Oh yeah, there you go, right?
I
Or
mean,
you could make one out of, like recycled stuff.
yeah, yeah.
There
I
are
mean,
kids that live near dumps, real poor kids that live near giant heaps of trash that just make musical instruments out of all the stuff they find.
yeah. I mean, that's going back to the roots of human instruments. This probably was just stuff that people just found and started banging on, right, and started
Right?
making sound with. So yeah, I miss music, but it's something that I want to get back into at some point. So
Once you get settled again and you don't have to move around so much.
yeah, it's a bit. Tomorrow, I just found out that they're going to turn off my electricity and water all day. That sucks.
Oh no.
So I'm just going to go to the beach all day.
Well, I'm wondering if this event that's perhaps tomorrow now, I'm thinking, because of that 4-day difference in the emergency alarm and the emergency alert, 4-day difference.
Yeah,
Maybe
my
my
girlfriend.
prediction is actually tomorrow, and it could be an EMP, and I'm darn close to Chicago when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, what was funny though is my girlfriend. I told her that they're turning off my electricity tomorrow. She's like, "Uh oh, it's the EMP." I
Yeah,
was like,
right. She thought the same thing I just did, yeah.
"Yeah," I was
Well,
like,
it's nice
"Oh,
of
come
them
on."
to let you know ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, well, instead of, I won't know it's happening. I'll just go to the beach, and I won't even have water though. I can't even cook, so I don't know what I'll do. But I'll just, I've been on a watermelon fast. So anyone who wants to like cleanse themselves and feel better, I've been on a watermelon fast, and I feel much better than I did like a week or two ago. I was pretty bad. I got some sickness. I don't know, people, whatever my girlfriend had when she was first here,
Hmm.
that pretty much, I thought she was going to have to go to the hospital. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. It was some sort of sickness that just completely took it out of us. Like, yeah. So I knew as soon as that was over, I just wanted to like cleanse myself, and I just started on a watermelon fast and feeling pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, you sound a lot better. I know you were sounding real tired, like just drug out.
Yeah. I mean, the watermelon just hydrates you, and like I'm
Hmm.
eating pretty much like a whole watermelon, like a big watermelon a day.
Wow.
And it's like, when you eat it though, you're like, you don't even need to drink water because it's all this like, and Waters Above Crypto was talking about this
Yeah.
with what's his name, Decode Your Reality, and they were talking
Jovi.
about a watermelon fast, and that's where I got the idea. And actually, I think it was just kind of like divine intervention that God's had me watch that episode that night. I was feeling really sick, and I was like, oh, that's what I need to do. Tomorrow I'm going to get a watermelon, and I'm going to cleanse myself here, like get all the stuff out of me.
Yeah.
And boy, do I feel better.
That is very cool testimonial. I will take that under my wing and remember it next time
I will say though, it is definitely better if you get the watermelons with the seeds,
Oh yeah.
because the seeds actually provide extra nutrients that help you process the sugar. So there's so many people that are against fructose nowadays, but I don't even see how. Fruits are obviously naturally made to be like the most easily digestible food, and
Hmm.
everyone's like trying to scare people out of eating fruit, which just makes me believe that's exactly what you want to be eating. Because if you go online, the most thing you're going to hear people say is don't eat fruit, right? Like, don't eat fruit because it's got too much fructose. Like, that's what you.
Yeah, but it's a natural sugar. I'm not. I think if you already have a problem with sugar, like if you're already pre-diabetic or diabetic, then yeah, stay away from sugar until you get that under control. But if you're just a normal, healthy person, I don't think there's anything wrong with natural sugars like fructose.
And it's interesting though, because I've watched a few channels that had diabetes and it actually helped them with their diabetes.
Oh, really?
Just eating a fruit diet, because I don't know the science behind it, but I know there was a nutritionist that was talking about it. He was talking about how there's never been any scientific evidence or evidence that's claimed that fruits can give you diabetes or worsen it.
Right.
Because it's usually the way that we eat the processed foods that are the sugars in the breads and the pastas.
Yeah, all that kind of sugar is not good.
Right. It's the high fructose.
If you replace those sugars with fruit sugars, I think that makes sense to me. Oh, did I just shut down?
No, I can still hear you.
It's just some weird like shutting down sound just came out of my computer.
Yeah, I heard the sound, but you didn't go away, so I'm assuming you're still.
Although it has been 2 hours, so.
Yeah, we're getting up there.
Hey, 88 people are watching.
Well, thank you, 88 people. Thank you guys for watching. And like I said, all the people in the chat, I'm gonna just go through the chat and give a thanks to everyone. Richard and Not of This World and Kimberly, Mary,
Fantastic.
Captain Flatastic.
I don't know how to say Roji or Roji.
Raji, I think.
Raji.
Yeah.
I recognize some of my subscribers in here too. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming over from her Square Peg's channel. And of course, any of you who are not familiar with Square Peg's channel, it's Square Peg Divergent. If I need more moderators so that somebody can post your link in the chat. I don't have it off. Here, Captain Flatastic, you're a moderator now.
Boom! You're a moderator. Just like that.
Because I know that you'll be a good moderator, because you're already supporting me. So I think on my buy me a coffee. So let's see. So yeah, hey Jeff, and thank you guys all for coming and listening to me and Square Peg talk about all these random things. But
there, I just put my channel in there, I think.
Okay. So. Okay, thanks. Yeah, if you guys want to subscribe to her and you're not already, there's her link.
Yes, I agree, Susan. It should be 1088 watching or more. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, one day I'll be there. It's been a slow process for me, but I never thought I'd have 89 people in my chat, so I'm good with that.
Right on. That's cool. Yeah, and I love collaborating with you because we like you know something and I know something, and we combine our efforts and we come up with stuff that individually would have taken a lot longer or never,
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of times that your decodes have inspired stuff out of me, and I know that's probably the same.
Yeah.
And Joseph in the chat, guys, make sure you subscribe to his channel. He's the one doing the great decoding. I've learned a lot from him too. So Joseph Aquaviva 2222 in the chat.
And not of This World is my moderator, and her channel is awesome too. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here.
Well, I'm gonna make her a moderator too then, because I know that she'll do.
She's a very busy girl. She got kids and everything.
Yeah, but I don't have very many moderators, so it's good to add a few.
It is good, yeah, because not everybody can always be there,
Yeah. Yeah, she says that we should collaborate every once in a while. Yeah, we should probably try to make it like a once a week or once every 2 weeks or something.
We should, yes. And I'm glad that you emailed me, so now we have each other's email, so it'll be easier to communicate.
Yeah,
yes, I agree. We should do it. We should do it. At least make it like a regular thing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then Joseph, he's come on a few times. I think Joseph might want to come on again soon. I mean, he's always dropping a lot of good numbers in the chat. So, and anyone anyone else who wants to come on any time can also join us. I don't know if there's anyone that wants to, but it's always an option. So,
yeah, it's cool that you have that. Very cool.
Yeah, I love this. Honestly, I wanted to do more live streams like this and just have more of a community effort.
Exactly. I feel like if we all joined forces, we could nail these things way quicker,
Yeah, there's so many good decoders that, there's so many people in the chat tonight, so that I know that are good at decoding. So So I guess last 5 minutes here, we'll close out with final thoughts and anything else you want to say.
I don't know. I think I would if nothing happens today, look out for tomorrow for sure. And then 11/6 definitely. And I no matter what the date, I don't know what the date specifically might be. I'm not positive about the date, but I know Chicago. Something in Chicago is coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that too. I felt Chicago always has this, something about Chicago for sure. And for me, on the other hand, I'm looking at Texas, so
Right, because of the eclipse, yeah.
well, we already had this thing with Elon being at the border and exposing all these people coming in, right? So
exposing, like the news, exposing the news, not exposing them to something.
Yeah, Elon was on Twitter exposing how there's too many illegal aliens coming over.
Okay.
And I don't know if a lot of people have been following that, but that's been going on this whole time that this other stuff has been going on. I think it's kind of flying under the radar. And yeah, there's going to definitely be something that comes from that, because they're saying that a lot of like killers were coming through and not getting, a lot of people from Mexico that are part of the gangs and stuff. So I'm just wondering if they have some sort of ritual planned with that, or if we see some sort of just organic thing from that too, just somebody crazy that got over the border and does something, So
with the numbers, I can't imagine that something wouldn't, even if it's not something that we necessarily hear about. I mean, certainly they're perpetrating stuff in their local communities wherever they end up. Some of these folks are gonna do stuff.
I mean, I believe this is all tied to San Antonio, which is the closest city to that border where it's happening. And San Antonio is where the eclipse is going to make the X, right?
Okay.
And San Antonio is hugely connected to the Alamo. And
okay.
Remember so the Alamo. Here's one final. This will be a kind of a lead into my next video, guys. So the Knights Templar were all rounded up and arrested. Okay. In what was it? It was 1013. 1307. So this is a really interesting date, right? So the Knights Templar were rounded up and arrested on Friday the 13th, 1013 in 1307.
Wow.
So this year on 1013, another Friday the 13th, just like that year it was also, it will be the 716th year since that Knights Templar arrest, where they were arrested, right? The Knights Templar. And 716 is, if you go to the Satanic Cipher, I just found this interesting because this eclipse is going over San Antonio right before that, on that same day, essentially, or right before that. And San Antonio, Texas, equals 716. Just like it's been 716 years since the Knights Templar were rounded up. And what's interesting is the battle of the Alamo also equals 716.
And the midpoint between now and 1307 is 1665. So 1665, the year, is right in the middle.
Interesting.
Right? It's almost 1666.
Yeah, so that's just something I found. This is kind of a lead into my next Friday the 13th video. I'll probably do sometime before that day comes. But again, the last guy to play the main character in the Friday the 13th movie is from San Antonio.
Oh my gosh.
What are the chances of that?
This is October 9th of 1665. Due to the Great Plague of London, the British Parliament meets at the University of Oxford rather than the Palace of Westminster.
Huh.
The drivers of death carts in London would go street to street, bring out your dead at the height of the plague outbreak in 1665. So in between 1307 and now was the height of the plague in Europe.
That's interesting for sure.
Right? Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We'll be here all day.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, like I said, my next video will be probably about this very topic, San Antonio, Friday the 13th, the eclipse. One more video about that. I think I have information to put that out. As always, go subscribe to Joseph and go subscribe to Square Peg. And if you guys want to support the channel, you guys can hit the like button. And you guys can also go to my link at the top of this chat, buy me a coffee, Decoding with Cody. That'll take you where you can donate if you would like. And also, I know Square Peg also has a buy me a coffee also. And I know Joseph also has different ways to support him. So just support the community, and we appreciate all of you guys.
Yes, indeed. And you're amazing.
Yeah, and you're amazing too. But yeah, so thanks for getting on.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And anything else you want to say, or are you done?
No, I'm done. We'll do this again soon.
Okay, so we'll look forward to that for sure.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a good night.
Yeah, you
Much
too.
love. All right, guys. So Square Peg's gone, and I'll be signing off as well. So once again, guys, hit the like button. Thank you guys for listening to us and enjoying the stream. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone. God bless.